Hi everyone, I'm Samuel Sandoval, your ACM Technical Project Manager, and I wanted to introduce to you our project program, CodeSprint. CodeSprint is a project program designed to teach students React Native technologies and then help them put that into practice by working on projects. So our goal here is to just really inspire and motivate our students to learn this great technology and then put it into practice. And this will consist of many lecture series on basic JavaScript into React Native, and then a project development program part of it where students work in pods and learn how to implement the React Native into some projects. So we hope you enjoy this program and partake in it. And now I'll pass it on to Wesley to kick us off with our first lecture.
Hello everyone, my name is Wesley Chow, and today I will be giving a quick course on JavaScript. So if you ever feel lost or find that you want to rewatch today's slides, a link to the slides is over here, and along with the link to our GitHub repo. In today's slides, we won't have a demo, but we will have some practice problems for this lecture that you can find on our repo. So the goal of today's lecture is to understand some basic JavaScript functions as a base of knowledge for this semester's project. So what is JavaScript and what can we do with it? JavaScript is a popular and useful tool for web development, and in today's lecture, we will be covering the basics. And in our future lectures, we will dive into React Native, which also uses JavaScript, and there we will be focusing on app development. So everyone has a different level of background experience, and JavaScript is a very loose and lenient scripting language that shares many basic concepts with other programming languages, such as Java, if you are incoming freshman with some APCS knowledge, or C++ if you've been taking courses here at CSUF, or honestly, just any other programming languages out there all share similarities with JavaScript. So for example, our variables, variables are the building blocks of all programming languages that hold values of data. Here they are simply declared using var, and there's no need to declare what kind of data type you're using because JavaScript figures out by itself, and it's pretty easy to use. Arrays can hold multiple values that are related, and in JavaScript, they can be made of mixed variable types. Camel case is JavaScript's naming convention. And what this means is that when you have variables of multiple words, the first letter of the new words are capitalized and there's no spaces in between them. And here in JavaScript, we don't need any semicolons. However, it's still a good practice to use them. So here's some examples of what we just went over. So an array is a variable. The variable is called brand. It's an array. And inside we have strings of Dell, HP, and Apple. And here's a mixed array of an integer, a boolean, and a string. Functions. Functions are blocks of code with the purpose of carrying out specific tasks. And once you define one, you can reuse the parameters with different values, resulting in fast and efficient coding. The makeup of a function includes the parameter, the body, and the return value. So what is between these brackets is considered the body, and inside of this, you have what you want to carry out in the function, along with the return statement that is sent back out. Over here, we have the function name, which is multiply. And when we call a multiply, we give it parameters, which would be, in this case, 15 and 3, which are passed on into variables A and B. So what we want to do in this one is just the basic multiplication of variables A and B. So what is returned out of this will be 15 times 3, which is, I'm bad at math, I think 45. So ECMAScript 6. ECMAScript is a convention standard from developers and is constantly revised in different editions, and ES6 will be looking into functions that maximize efficiency and make coding simpler. So here we have let and constant. Let temporarily changes a variable's value within its block scope. So as you can see down here in the red, what is between these brackets is considered the block scope. And in this case, we wanted A to be 5. And everywhere else in the green would be where A is equal to 1. This is useful in some cases where you might just want to have a variable have a different value in certain cases, while it stays the same for everywhere else. Constants are variables whose values never change. So some things that are useful for constants are such as things like sales tax, values of pi, and whatever else you would like to use that stays constant. Arrow functions allow for short syntax of functions, and it's better to use constants within arrow functions. And what makes it different than regular functions is that it has a function statement and there's no return statement, and these are done automatically. So as you can see here, so we have a function here, but it's not there anymore. And parameters are x and y. And instead of the return, you have the equal sign and the arrow and the return statement. Classes. So a lot of functionalities of classes overlap with Java and C++, such as getters and setters, inheritance, and so much more. So here's a basic example of a class that doesn't really do anything, but serves as the basic skeleton to the structure of a class. So when you have a class, you also have your constructors, which include your parameters. And in this one specifically, we're just doing like a make and model of a car. So we have a new variable called myCar, and we set it into being a new variable class car. And the parameters we put inside of it are Tesla and Y, which are passed into the brand and the model. And within this class, we have the thing called car brand and car model using this thing right here. And basically, these things are passed into here. And using car brand, we could do other like operations or what you want to do within the class. So default parameters. Default parameters are basically you could have the parameters already set, and this isn't changed unless otherwise it's defined or changed. So in our example over here, y is equal to 5. It's going to stay like that unless it's changed. So in this example, up here, we have x is equal to 2 and y stays as 5. So the output of this one will be 10. Meanwhile, over here, the x is 2 and the y will be 4. So the output of this is 8. So Array.find and Array.findIndex. The find function returns the first array value that satisfies the given condition, and the find index returns the first array index of the array value of the given condition. And it's important to remember that indexes start at 0. So over here, we want to find something where the value is equal to 5. So if we put this into the function up here with the finds, it goes through this array of numbers. And over here, notice it's 5. So the output to find will be 5. And the find index will be 1, because 1 will be the array index of where 5 is at. So template literals. They're just a more convenient way of concatenating strings of text. So when you have like long text over here, such as hello, blank, your name is blank, years old, and you don't want to use these plus signs over and over again, you could just have a dollar sign and bracket, and that's just much simpler to have your text with your variables in between them without having much more work to do. Importing, exporting. This allows functions to be reused in different JavaScript files, and everything that is inside of these functions could be in the new files are all carried over. So in our example of here, we just have a basic functions of introduction, and we're exporting that. And in our second file, we're importing introductions from the base file. And all you do is really simple. You just have your quotes over here and over here, and the period with the backslash with the name of the file that you took it from. And after you import it, all of the functionalities within that function are carried over. And if you're trying to import from more than one file that has more than one function, and you want to use multiple functions from that file, you do the same thing, except you just have your brackets and you list out all the different functions you want to bring in from the first file. So promises. Promises are a method to write asynchronous code. They're good for when you don't know what kind of value of a value that your data has, and it serves as a proxy until it figures it out. And it associates with this promise value until eventually succeeding or failing at the final value. It takes two parameters to resolve and reject, and this is just a basic layout of what a promise looks like. So over here, you have your resolve and reject, and in this case, when it's resolved, it prints out done. If there's an error and it can't be completed, it just gives you ... And you can also set a timeout for if it takes too long, just have it resolve it with what you want. So in this case, it'd be ... So higher order functions. Higher order functions are functions that have other functions within them, and this is used for efficiency and shortcuts. So an overview of the functionalities of higher order functions. For arguments, functions can be used as arguments of another function. They could also be returned inside another function, and both of these combined just serve as the main purpose of higher order functions to streamline coding with efficiency and reusability. So down here with the map, filter, and reduce, these are just three types of functions that just come with JavaScript that we could use. So for example, map creates a new array with the results of the calling function. Filter creates a new array with the values that are found true. And reduce creates a single value from an array. You can specify what kind of operation you want. So before having higher order functions, these three functions would require a lot of coding to do the same thing as what higher order functions would do. So it makes it much more easier. So for example, when we put in a function as the argument of another function, we have the is_even function, and that is put as the argument of filter, and that is of the result function. And over here, we're returning the add function with the function of result. So here we're going to look at the three built-in functions for map. What we're doing in this case is we're just getting a name of all the users in a database, and it puts that all into one array. For filter, we're looking for users that start with A, and that puts it inside our array. And for reduce, we're just looking at the ages of all the users and adding them all together, and that gives a single value of the total of the ages. So that's all for today of our JavaScript crash course. Hope this has helped, and yeah.